Hola, my friends. Welcome to your Feminine Current podcast. I am your host, Jordan from Yoniswell, and I am honored to be here with you in this space. So thank you for joining me. This week, we are talking about trauma-informed education around the nervous system and how it relates to our 7 chakra system. This can be a navigation tool and an alert system you can tap into as you are learning how to connect with your intuition and trust this internal guidance system naturally built into your system. This is about trusting your inner voice and knowing how to listen to your body's messages while discerning your thoughts and what narrative is speaking to you throughout your day. This is important to talk about because this podcast is here to help you connect to your intuition, restoring self-worth, self-trust, intuitive connection, confidence, courage, balance, and divine feminine empowerment, fostering deep soul level growth and enrichment. Take a moment and re-listen to that if you need to, and allow your body to melt into those words and to really sit in those words. And maybe sometime today or this week, you may want to reflect on those words for you and what that looks like throughout your daily life and also for this entire year. Where do you want to see yourself at the end of 2026? Because what we're doing is building very strong foundations from within that are in alignment with our nature. And so through this process of creatively self-actualizing all of these new beginnings, there's so many endings that are taking place, removals that are happening, relationships ending, jobs going away, the emotional inner dynamics that were once present for you are no longer and feel decayed. So much of this is to connect to our intuition and improve upon our lives so that we feel fully present and connected with who we naturally are so that we can cultivate this very strong foundation on an earth level, also a human level and a spiritual level that we are building together as creative individuals that can show up within the community and then help each other. So much of this energy that we are entering is about honoring us, each person as our own individual, and then engaging with groups and communities from there. My soul mission is to empower women and anybody wanting to identify with and access their divine feminine nature as a source of strength, creative balance, and fulfillment. And I am guided by the rhythms of nature and the cosmos, the ocean, astrology. My approach helps you create a life that is aligned with your heart's desires, values, and authenticity. Really, the question is, what matters to you at this point? And what are you investing your energy into? What are you giving priority towards? And to really allow yourself the grace and compassion to sit in that and reflect upon what that looks like for you. I am still a filmmaker at heart. And when I was working in the entertainment industry, I felt and still feel my soul mission as a director was to tell stories that evoked social and positive change, inspiration, all through revealing of and understanding the human condition. Why are we the way we are, and what can we create together in order to make this place better for everybody? How can I, as the director, create a positive impact for change on the planet? That soul mission within me still exists. And I will always be a filmmaker at heart. I still actually work on specific projects and take on certain roles that I feel like I can handle at the time and that are a good fit for me on my own terms. And so this part of me still emanates from my heart, from my soul, and shows up through my work that is purposeful and also in resonance with how I can help you solve a problem. And for those of you who are new and may not know me yet, I am a trauma-informed holistic guide and wellness coach who integrates the wisdom of surf, yoga, golf, somatic movement, trauma-informed somatic practices, and the cosmos to help individuals reconnect with their true nature. I guide you to embody your divine feminine energy in order to get into alignment with your unique energy so you can know your chakra system and so you can always feel at home and whole within your body, heart, mind, and soul, even in the most challenging moments. It's also important to share that what I am sharing with you today is not psychotherapy, and to remember to take responsibility for your needs and your health and well-being. If this information inspires you to seek therapy, please trust that and listen to that and take appropriate action towards those next steps. To set this foundation for what we are speaking about today, I am going to be talking about and referencing the polyvagal theory, the various trauma responses, and how to identify these in your body and your nervous system, which one most aligns, and how you're feeling and how often you feel this way. I will reference my resources below, so feel free to check those out as they are something tangible that you can look at and reference. And I will also be recording a YouTube video that brings in this information where you can visually see what I'm talking about, and also go into the monthly workshop that I lead that you can join, and I will also share that information below, so stay tuned about that. When we manifest and set goals to create something that matters to us, that we value and that feels in resonance with our hearts, we do this from a place of trust, not fear. We do not do this from a stress response. Fear will always be present on some level. It is actually a natural cautionary presence that can help us in very wise ways. Though when we are fully connected with our intuition, our body's messages, we learn empowered ways to manage the fear so that we are not consumed by the fear and we are not actually operating from a consistent trauma response. Now, it's also important that I am using that term trauma response in maybe an informal way, but it's actually meant to be used in an everyday practical way, because trauma is so nuanced and can be so subtle, and you may not even realize that you are operating from this spiked stress level coming from your body and your nervous system. And so it is valuable, regardless of your experience, to check in with these various levels and how you are responding to situations in your life. And that said, if you want to learn more about what I'm talking about so you can feel confident in trusting your intuition over fear, there is a link below that takes you to my free PDF and meditation guide called Mastering Your Intuition. This is a step-by-step free guide about how to get to know your unique energy and how connecting with and trusting your intuition happens on a practical and spiritual level. Our bodies are our most advanced technology that is whispering loudly for us to come home and remember who we are and what we are capable of as the powerful light beings we are. That said, I'm going to start referencing the polyvagal theory. And so right now we're only going to be focusing on the vagus nerve itself. And this vagus nerve begins just in the center and lower part of your skull. And from there, there's a flower-like opening that receives messages that then sends messages down to your body. And this vagus nerve essentially travels through the lungs, it travels through your heart, and then it travels down below your heart and into your liver, into your stomach, into your small intestine, which also will generate energy and information messages signaling to your colon, and then back up it can travel to your spleen, into your kidneys. And it's really all connected throughout what I would classify as, if we're talking about the chakra system, the lower part of your skull. And so the vagus nerve, starting out, it really is traveling through your throat chakra. So that would be your 6th chakra. And then the nerves are traveling down into your lungs, into your heart. So then we're going from the throat chakra down into the heart chakra. And then we're going down into the solar plexus. Once it goes from the heart chakra, traveling to the stomach, right? And then below the solar plexus, we are engaging with the sacral chakra. And at the very bottom, the small intestine, and that would be your root chakra. So from a scientific point of view, we are looking at the human anatomy and how the vagus nerve is communicating to our body. And then we are correlating it to your 7 chakra system and how that actually affects you on a emotional, spiritual, physical, and mental level. Now, this is definitely another podcast, but I will just add on. We have energetic fields. This is where Saturn in Pisces, which I will go into later, but this is where the scientist meets the mystic and they merge together, right? So we all have an aura, an energetic field, and it consists of our emotional body, our physical body, our spiritual body, and our mental body. And actually, I will create a podcast that goes specifically into this so that you can learn more about that. And we as humans with our aura are walking around with these core beliefs and these energetic vibrations where we are connecting with certain frequencies that make these core beliefs come to life. And so before it manifests into our physical reality and before it manifests in our bodies and then our bodies respond, that energy is living within your aura. That's why it's so important to realize that we heal through the emotional body, and we actually have to get to the root, Pluto, Scorpio, 8th house, of the limitation that is keeping us from healing these parts of us. And what part of these parts of us is an illusion that we are buying into or believing into. So as we are correlating our 7 chakra system with the vagus nerve and our nervous system, remember that all of these aspects are playing a part. And it's not that you have to believe a certain way. What is being presented for you is that there are multiple ways to the truth. And so it's really about you learning how to connect with your intuition so that you can be guided towards the best way for you to take in the information. And with that, you're learning about how you receive information and then how to apply it, integrate it, and make it a part of your daily routine that feels good to you. And so we're going back to the initial reason for this podcast, which is connecting to your intuition, allowing you to connect to your divine feminine energy so that you can actually access and bring balance into both feminine and masculine, because the feminine needs the masculine. The feminine can't go out into the world and create tangible results on her own. She has to receive the information and trust what is true for her first, and then bring in the masculine so that she can go out and create it and put it out there tangibly into the world. That is the inner balance, the wholeness that we are all on an intrinsic level seeking. Now, when I say feminine and masculine, I am not talking about sex or gender. There could be many men listening to this podcast because they are feeling the call to access their feminine energy as a way to create balance for themselves. And because they may be remembering that it is really important in order for them to show up fully in their lives to connect to their feelings and to embody vulnerability as a strength and embody emotional intelligence as a strength within their own life, within their relationships, and how they show up into the world. That is one example. Okay, so now that we've reviewed the vagus nerve, we are then going to review the different trauma responses that can happen. But before we do that, we always want to bring in what is supporting us, what is working for us, and what is information and energy and an archetype, a frequency, a vibration that can support me as I am connecting to my intuition, and as I am trusting my intuition, and as I'm learning how to manage fear from a new perspective, and how I am now embodying that into my everyday life and experiencing that ease and that calm and that trust that I am really seeking on a soul level. The polyvagal chart, again, I will include this resource below so that you can see what I'm talking about. And so when we are fully engaged and when we feel safe and ready to interact with others and really be in our confidence, really embodying our confident self, where we feel safe and where we feel like we can take risks, that is the color green. It is the level of social engagement, and this is called the ventral vagal state, which is the state of safety. And the words that relate to the green ventral vagal state are calmness in connection. You feel settled. You feel grounded. You are experiencing and embodying curiosity, openness, compassion. You are mindful and in the present moment. Above social engagement would be the fight or flight responses. And this would be the color yellow. And there's also a activation, uprise, and then there's a deactivation. So there is a level of rising into these states, and then you're coming out of these states. So it's also helpful to look at this and really sit with what is the activation state taking place, and then what is the deactivation taking place. So when we're in fight or flight, there is this theme of I can, but as it's arousing, right? As the fight or flight is arousing, and this could be a trauma response that you experience in your everyday reality. Fight words to identify would be moving into rage, anger, irritation, frustration. And flight would be more of panic, fear, anxiety, where you go into worry mode and concern. And this is oftentimes when the spiral of thoughts, negative thoughts, and maybe intrusive thoughts can begin. This would be your sympathetic state. And it is like an undercurrent of danger. And another word to describe this is hyperarousal. So there is a process of activating and rising up into it, and then there's a deactivating. So a fight response in a healthy way is when you want to go work out and do like an interval training workout or something that is a little bit more intense, that really allows your adrenaline to move through your body. That is a healthy version of that. Right? And then the words that you heard me say, that would be the actual trauma response being activated in that moment. And so to be aware of, when that response gets triggered and what is it that you're doing, and then what is it that you do afterwards, something to really reflect on. And so then as we're moving up in the polyvagal chart, we're looking at the freeze response. And this can also be in the same realm as fawn. So fawn would be people pleasing, and then freeze would be an activation of disassociation, numbness, depression. Your pain threshold is rising, so there's a level of numbing out. Another word to describe this is helplessness. And this is called the dorsal vagal state, and this would correlate to life threat is taking place. This would be called hypoarousal. Other words, when this energy or this state is deactivating, which still qualifies to be in a freeze response, like this is a collapse, immobility, and conservation of energy. So this is when you kick into this, your body is trying to keep you safe. And other words that can correlate to this state are shame, shutdown, hopelessness, preparation for death, and even feeling trapped. So this is all really valuable to sit with. And there may be moments in your life where you are not in real threat, but your body goes into these states. And I can honestly say, on a personal note, I have been operating from various levels of trauma responses for 30 years. And until I really started to do this inner work and explore, connecting to my intuition and to really get access to all of the education that is available for us, both internal and external, which involves, again, listening to what my intuition is guiding me towards to learn and to really be present with the information that my intuition is providing that already lives within me, the resources that I have that are already living within me, speaking to me, and also the information that is out there in the world that can help me get to the truth in a way that resonates with me, my energy, and how I receive and how I absorb and how I am meant to interact and show up every day. And that is, at the core of this conversation is about connecting to your intuition and allowing that to be your guide. Now, I'm going to stop there in terms of sharing the traits of these states, and you can explore this on your own by clicking on the links below that will take you to these resources. I want to reiterate that this is a beautiful opportunity to really listen, to get quiet, and to honor that inner guidance, that inner knowing that is trying to come through. And it may be very real in your life where there are parts of you that have to be removed in order for you to fully access this information. And so with this information that I just shared, next time we will go into referencing the chakras and their astrology rulers in addition to their divine feminine goddess rulers. So when you take this information that is providing both science and perhaps from a spiritual point of view, you are merging them together and they can actually work together and create this beautiful soul-led embodiment with you as the human being at the forefront. And so if this information resonates and you want to engage more for your own attunement and embodiment of your chakra system and your divine feminine goddess energy, join my monthly workshop that is live. We gather together as community. We move through rituals, energy clearing, and a breakdown of your chakra system from a trauma-informed systemic nervous system point of view that also educates you on how your unique energy shows up through the cosmos and which divine feminine goddess energy is speaking to you at any given moment. So this information is something that you can take, apply, and integrate into your everyday life as a way to create that ease, that trust, that clarity, those slow mornings that you are working towards manifesting. Because to be real, Saturn is leaving the sign of Pisces after a 2.5 to 3 year cycle. Saturn is in Pisces, and it is the mystic meeting the scientist. This is when we merge practical science with spirituality. It is ancient divine wisdom that is waiting for us to re-access and to remember from within our internal system. Saturn in Pisces has been restructuring our consciousness on both a soul level and a physical level that we can be ready for when Saturn and Neptune move into Aries together on February 20th, 2026. We go from strong earth and water energies where change happens slower to air and fire energies where change is rapid and forward movement is inevitable. And we will never ever return to this energy in this life ever again because Saturn and Neptune will not ever be in Pisces together ever again in this life. Take stock of what is not meant to move forward with you. This takes going within and listening to your intuition, your inner voice as your guide, trusting it. This voice always whispers to you, whether it is an actual voice, a feeling, a nudge, an energy, whatever resonates for you. But you have to get quiet in order to really discover what it is and how it's speaking to you. For me, it was the ocean and it was surfing. And then as I spent so much time in the ocean, surfing, moving my body, listening to my body's consciousness, I realized other moments in my life from the past when I played golf and I heard that inner voice. So it comes through in divine timing, and it comes through differently for each person. And that will likely lead you to understanding your own innate gifts and talents that you are here to share with the world as a way to create unity consciousness and community. Thank you for being here. I am honored to share the space with you as always. I am sending you oceans of love, and I will connect with you next time. Take care.